How's it going, everyone? It's Caleb here, and today we're going to be reviewing a game on the PlayStation 2. We are going to be reviewing Goosebumps Horrorland. Now, I didn't grow up with Goosebumps, however, about a year ago I did read Horrorland for the first time. I found it at like a half-price books, and apparently there's an entire series based off Horrorland. But I just read like the main book that's kind of like a standalone thing. I read that, and I actually did enjoy it. And this video game, even though it's called Horrorland, it really doesn't have anything to do with the book at all. It's its own story. It has its own plot and everything. The only thing that's similar is obviously the carnival itself, or the big amusement park itself. So Goosebumps in Horrorland is basically a game that is full of mini games. It's a bunch of mini games, and you can think of it kind of like Thrillville without the building. You have a bunch of different rides you can go to. You can ride all these different rides. There's roller coasters, and the roller coasters have their own little gimmicks on them where you have to like avoid falling pieces because like the roller coasters are collapsing, so you have to like avoid, you know, things breaking on the roller coasters and stuff like that. You have other mini games like bumper cars, and those ones are really fun. I love the bumper car one, if I'm being honest. That's like probably the best mini game in this. And you have a few other ones. You have some shooting gallery stuff like that. And you do get to run around the entire park, and there's a few different areas of the park you get to explore as well. And it has a cool little idea that it uses for progression. Basically, for every gold medal you get in the park, it will actually give you like this like fear meter or whatever. It gives you these tokens, and if you collect enough of these tokens, that's what will allow you to go into other areas of the park. That's what will allow you to progress the story. That's what will allow you to ride certain rides. And so you have these like little gold tokens you get for doing well in the games, and then you also have to collect play tokens, like actual tokens to play the games themselves. So there's a few things to collect, and you're going to need those to be able to progress in the game. And you can also collect some just side things for bonuses, like you can collect some cards that are laying around and they have just like different monsters on them and stuff like that that you can collect, but those aren't really necessary. That's just kind of like a side thing if you want to go around and try to collect all of the cards that you can find in an amusement park. But overall, it's actually a pretty fun game. It doesn't look great, you know, even for a PS2 game, it's not the greatest looking thing, but it still has quite a bit of charm, and I still really like the style of it. It definitely feels like Goosebumps. That's probably the most important thing that this game needed to do, and it does that very well. This game feels like Goosebumps. Horrorland is like I imagined it when I read the book. It is just full of creepy goodness. It's full of, you know, monsters as the actual staff. You know, the actual rides and everything. Everything's monster themed going on. Some of them are pretty messed up too. There's some that are just flat out disgusting, and I'm not going to show you all of them in this video, obviously, but I'm just going to say this. There's one where it involves deworming a slug, and that's all I'm going to say there. I'm not going to say anything else about it. All I'm going to say is that it was gross, and I'm not going to show you the video, and you can thank me for that later, because I don't want you to have to witness that horrible, horrible thing that I had to witness. So there we go. But the game itself is pretty fun. I like it quite a bit. And I was actually kind of surprised with how good the story was. I didn't expect the story to be as good as it was. But your character basically just gets a random ticket to Horrorland, and one of his friends in the same neighborhood also gets a ticket. So they end up going to Horrorland. And when they're there, they end up run into the park. When they give their ticket to the actual monster, who's like admitting people into the park, the monster tears it up and he throws the ticket around. It turns out that you actually need that ticket to even leave the park. So then you have to go around and find each piece of the ticket, and there's one piece in each of the different themed parks throughout the entire Horrorland. And you run into a little girl who helps you find all of the different pieces and stuff like that. And there's some twists and turns along the way. And I saw the twist coming. Like, they make it pretty obvious what the twist is going to be, I personally think. And I'm not going to say it, I'm not going to spoil it, because it actually is kind of a funny thing that happens. It's, you know, but even though I saw it coming and it was pretty obvious what was going to happen, I still liked it. I thought it was a pretty good twist, and the ending was pretty good. I like the ending. It's not necessarily a terrible ending. Well, it might be. I don't want to say it's a good ending, because it's definitely not a good ending. It's good for the two main characters, but it's not necessarily a happy ending, per se, so I'm just going to leave it there. But I actually really liked the story. I was surprised that the story was that good. The gameplay itself in the game, you'll definitely get a few hours out of this game. It took me probably like 4 hours to beat, and I actually decided to play it in one sitting. I had nothing else to do, so I was just like, let's just play this for the day, and I really enjoyed it. I liked it quite a bit, and the nice thing is that once you unlock all of the mini-games through the actual story mode, you can go and you can select those mini-games just straight from the menu, and you can play them like that. And I actually did that with bumper cars because I enjoyed playing bumper cars so much. There's some mini games that are not as fun as others, I will say. There's like this one where you're running on a log, and that one sucked. There's one where you're trying to like jump and you have an arrow attached to your head, and there's a spinning wheel, and you're trying to get the arrow to basically point to the highest amount of points. I'm not a big fan of that one either. There's some mini games that are definitely misses, but there's a lot of good ones as well. And the nice thing is that a lot of the good ones, there ends up being multiple like versions of the good ones. So like there's 2 different bumper car courses you can play. There's 2 different mini golf ones you can play. There's a few different gallery shooters that you can do. You know, there are a couple different, just versions of ones that are bad too. However, usually one is always better than the other at least. So even if you do the log running, for example, and you don't like that one, there's one that's similar to it later on, but it's done in a better way. So even if there's one bad minigame here or there, I would say the majority of the minigames are really good and really fun, and you're going to have a fun time trying to get gold in them and trying to get enough gold medals to be able to leave the park. So I think that this game is actually a lot of fun. I don't know if I would call it a hidden gem or not. I just think that it's a fun game if you are a Goosebumps fan, or even if you're just looking for something spooky to play for around Halloween. The only other thing that I would say is a negative about this game is the actual traversing of the amusement parks. The amusement parks are kind of hard to find your way around. They do have maps where you can go and see where you are on the, at the map on the current times. They have like, different boards up around the amusement parks where you can try to find out where you are. But it doesn't help too much. It helps a little bit, but it doesn't help too much. So it's still kind of aggravating to traverse the map. And that would be the only other real negative I'd say this game has. And if you can deal with traversing the map, I think that you're still going to have a fun time. As long as you can handle that, you're going to have a good time, I think. So this is a pretty fun game, honestly. I do like also that this game allows you to pick a boy or girl from the beginning of the game, too. So if you want, you can pick a boy or you can pick a girl. So that's cool, too. The fact that this game, they actually thought about letting you select your own character. I thought that was kind of cool. But overall, I think that this is a really fun game. I think it's a cool game. And this game, I got it for $9. And I think that's pretty fair for it. I think if you can pick this game up for under $15, you're probably doing pretty good, and I think you're going to enjoy it for that price. I wouldn't go crazy on it, but if you can find it for a cheap price, pick it up, play it, especially if you are looking for something fun around the holidays. If you're looking for something fun around Halloween, I think it's a good one. So there we go. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe button down below, and go check out Goosebumps Horrorland if you are looking for something spooky to play this Halloween season. I will talk to you in the next video. You have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.